welcome back to my channel. My name is Kylie and I'm the owner and creator at The Steel Canvas. Today we're going to be learning how to do a full glitter tumbler. So we're going to be prepping, sanding, spray painting from start to finish on how to do a basic glitter tumbler. So if you're a newbie, this is a video for you. If you guys have any questions, you know to always feel free to pop them in the comments. We post new videos on Mondays and Thursdays, so if you'd like to be notified on when we do a new video, make sure to hit that subscribe button and the bell so you're notified anytime that we do new videos. And if you guys are also interested, you can find us on Facebook at The Steel Canvas, on Instagram at The Steel Canvas, and I also have a community group called The Steel Canvas VIP and Tutorials. So feel free to follow any of those if you guys have any questions, or to just follow along on any tumblers I'm making, etc. And I hope you guys enjoy this video and let me know if you have any questions. Alright guys, we are back and we are going to talk about some of the things we're going to be needing to do this glittered tumbler today. So this is a basics tutorial. This is start to finish, how to glitter a full glitter cup. Super basics. We're going to go back to the basics. So if you're new, this is going to teach you how to prep a tumbler and how to get it ready to do anything to it. I'm going to do a full glitter tutorial. So a couple of things that you're going to need. You're going to need some glitter, obviously. I'll go over that glitter in just a moment. You're going to need some sanding blocks. You're going to need some 91% alcohol. You need 91%. Anything lower than that is not going to do what you need it to do. And you are going to need some semi-gloss, or not semi-gloss, you're going to need some spray paint. I have semi-gloss, protective enamel. You can use whatever spray paint you want. This is just the one that was ended up being on sale, so I grabbed this one, but you can use any black that you would like. It doesn't matter. I don't have a preference between gloss, semi-gloss, flat, satin. They all kind of work the same for me just because you're going to glitter over them anyways. They're just a base coat for the tumbler. So we're going to be working on a 20-ounce curve from the Stainless Depot. It is the Hog brand. They're my favorite. I love them. It's where I get all my tumblers from. So we're going to jump on into sanding this tumbler. So we're going to go ahead and move into my kitchen. I'm going to show you guys how I sand it. Alright guys, we are back and we're going to go ahead and start sanding this 20-ounce curve from the Stainless Depot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the sanding block, and then I'm going to hop into this little piece of sandpaper here. This one is 150, I believe, grit, which is a little higher than I normally would like. This one is I believe 220. So I normally go for the sanding blocks. So you're just going to want to go in and sand away. And you see how it looks scuffed up right there? That's what you're gonna look for. So you're gonna wanna scuff it up. And what you're doing is you are removing the protective layer, the coating on the top. And what this does is this gives something for the spray paint and the epoxy and everything that you're gonna be putting on your tumbler. It gives it something to stick to. So you're just gonna wanna scuff away. Personal preference, how much you actually want to sand. Some people sand the crap out of their tumblers. I think I'm a medium sander. So I sand until I feel like I've gotten every little part of my tumbler pretty much sanded to the point where I'm comfortable. And I think that my tumbler is going to be of good quality. And I just sand until I can see that every little area has been scuffed up. So as you can see, half of it's scuffed and this is still shiny. Hopefully that's picking up on camera. I think it will be. But yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and use this on this side so you can see what it's like when you use a piece of sandpaper. So it's a lot easier to hold on to with the block. And this is a higher grit, which I'm not really a fan of. I like the lower grit. I'm going to go ahead and grab my sanding block and just go over that, but it's a little easier to hold on to the sanding block. You have something to hold on to in grass, so they're my favorite. I would recommend getting a sanding block. But that's pretty much a gist of what I do. I just go back and I kind of look at it in the light and make sure there's no real spots that you're missing. Make sure you get the edges, the bottom pretty good. And you're just gonna wanna sand, sand, sand until you're comfortable with it. But this is the part that I feel is most important to make sure your tumbler is going to stay nice for the longest it possibly can. I don't want to chance my tumblers peeling or bubbling or the seal having any issues because I didn't sand it. So this is the most important part to me, is making sure your tumbler is nice and sanded. So what we're gonna do now is I'm gonna go ahead and hop over to my sink and we're gonna go ahead and wash this bad boy off. All right, so got it all sanded, ready to go. I'm just gonna add a little bit of Dawn dish soap. It'll ever come out. And I'm just going to kind of rub it all over, making sure you get it. And you see how much stuff comes off of this? You're getting lots of that coating off. And that's what you wanna see. You wanna see that yuckiness. So we're gonna go ahead and turn the water on. And we're just gonna rinse it off. And then I just dry it off with, I like to use coffee filters. I am out currently, I need to go grab some more. But you just wanna make sure that there's no fuzz or lint on your tumbler after you dry it off. Because when you go to spray paint it, sometimes that can give you a little bit of an issue. So you're just gonna wanna wash this bad boy off. And then we're just gonna dry it off with a towel. And then I'm gonna grab my 91% alcohol and wipe it off with that to make sure that all the oils from our hands or anything else are off of it. So there's that. And then I'm just gonna grab some 91% alcohol. Just gonna put a little bit on my rag. And I'm just gonna wipe it off. And from here on out until we spray paint it, I'm not going to touch it with my hands, because you don't want any of the oils from your hands on the tumbler. So there's that, and then I'm gonna let it dry off, and then we're gonna hop into spray painting it. So I'll be right back for that. All right, guys, so we are going to use the semi-gloss protective enamel that I showed you previously, and you're just gonna wanna make sure you shake it up really well before you use it. And I am wearing my organic vapor mask or respirator. Make sure you're using proper PPE, and we're gonna be doing little bursts around the entire cup. So I don't keep a constant stream. I keep it about 6 to 10 inches away from the cup, depending. And I just do like little short bursts around the entire cup, making sure I get full coverage. I do make sure I hit the bottom and the rims really good. Make sure the lip and the rim, because I tend to miss those if I'm not careful. So just make sure you get full coverage around the entire cup, and just do short little bursts, and that will help you with avoiding drips. Because if you keep a constant stream of spray paint, sometimes you can put too much on there and it'll end up dripping, and you do not want that, because you will be able to see it when you apply your glitter. So that's pretty much it, and we just did a full coverage of the black spray paint. I'm gonna let this dry for about an hour, and then we're gonna go in and we're gonna do the epoxy method. So I'm gonna go ahead and let this bad boy dry, and then I will hop in to show you guys how I do the epoxy method for full glittering. All right, guys, we are back, and I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys how we do the epoxy method. So I mix the tiniest amount of epoxy. I mix between like 2 to 5, depending on how many tumblers I'm doing. You're gonna use less than 2 mLs on a 20-ounce curve. So I mixed up a really, really tiny portion, and I'm just gonna go ahead and put it on. I mixed up probably about 2 mLs this time, and you do part A and part B and mix them together. And I'm just gonna smooth it out on the tumbler. So I use the smallest amount possible. Like, start with less. Less is more when you're doing the epoxy method. You're gonna wanna do it so that way it is so thin that you can barely see your finger. If you put your finger on it and run it down, you can't even see your finger mark. The reason you wanna do this is because you're using this as an adhesive. You're not using this like you would do a full coat of epoxy. You're just wanting it to make it sticky. So you're doing a very, very thin, like 1 to 2 mLs of epoxy over the entire tumbler. And you're just going to make sure that you get every single portion of the tumbler covered with the epoxy as thin as humanly possible.
So as you can see, I barely used any epoxy. Like I think I mixed up 2.5 mLs here, and I still have about half of it left, and I am finished epoxying. You're going to want to make sure that you use nitrile gloves when you do this. I am taking them off only because I'm going to be glittering now. So you're just going to want to dump it all over the tumbler. There's no rhyme or reason to this. The only thing that you're going to want to watch out for is if you have little wet spots. So in a moment here, you're going to see me go over a spot with more glitter, because I noticed that it looked like the glitter was drowning a little bit. You're going to notice this at like the bottom portion of the cup. I'll add a little extra glitter there, only because if you see that, it'll make it kind of look weird once you put the second coat of epoxy over top if you don't continue to put glitter on it. So you're just going to want to make sure that you do the thinnest amount of epoxy possible. And as you can see right there in the middle of the cup, there's a little spot where I'm going to fix it. It's drowning in glitter a little, or drowning in epoxy a little bit. So I'm just going to tap it off with either like scissors, or I use my weeding tool right there. But as you can see right there, it's got a little bit of drowning glitter. So I'm just going to take my parchment paper, and I'm going to scoop this back into my little glitter container, and I'm just going to glitter it a little bit more, so that way it doesn't look like it's wet. You don't want to see wet glitter. You want it to be nice, full coverage, no wet spots. So the way you can fix this is just by adding more glitter. So I'm just going to add some more glitter to this, and then I'm going to tap off all the excess. I'm going to let this dry for about 2 to 3 hours. And then I will go in with a flood coat of epoxy. You don't have to let it fully cure before you go to the next coat, just because you're putting in such a thin layer that it dries pretty quickly. So you're just going to make sure you look for any other spots on your tumbler that may look kind of wet. But other than that, it's pretty simple, just as thin as possible, and just apply the glitter until you don't see any wet spots. And normally I don't have issue with wet spots. If you just make sure that you do it as thin as humanly possible, you won't have issues with those wet spots. But that is it for the glittering portion, and we're going to go ahead and hop into doing a full coat of epoxy. All right, guys, we are back, and I have my cup on a turner by Dino's Tumbler Turners. You can find them on Facebook. I will have them linked in the description below. But I'm going to go ahead and just put on a super thick coat of epoxy. And by super thick, I mean about 20 mLs. So I already mixed together a pretty decent sized batch, only because I'm going to be doing multiple tumblers. But you guys, if you're just doing this one, you're going to want to mix up about 20 mLs. So 10 part A and 10 part B. I'm in a very well ventilated room with fans on, and I also have my respirator on, as well as nitrile gloves. Make sure you're using proper PPE. It's very important. So I'm going to go ahead and just fast forward through me applying the epoxy. Super boring for you guys to watch me wipe on the epoxy. But I'm going to fast forward through this, and then I will show you guys the final product. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, stay safe, and we'll see you guys next time.